We are now in Unit 5, yes, Unit 5, Chapter 1, Lesson 1. We're going to be talking about rates and unit rates with Mr. Romanovich.
Hey, like Mrs. Benoit said, rates and unit rates. Our target today is what is a rate, so you should be able to define it. And then also, what is a unit rate? No. A unit rate. What is a unit rate? You should be able to define it. You should also be able to differentiate between the two. What's the difference between a rate and a unit rate? By the end of this, you should be able to find the unit price for a 4-pack of juice, that's $2.12, and find the unit rate for traveling 220 miles on 8 gallons of something. So let's get into this. We'll do our definitions first here. What is a rate? A rate is a ratio. It's a ratio that compares two quantities that have different units. So what we're talking about here is something like 24 miles in 4 hours. If you were traveling 24 miles in 4 hours, that's a ratio we can set up which will give us a rate. 24 miles in 4 hours. What do ratios look like? Well, they look like fractions. So we're always going to set them up just like this with a numerator and a denominator. What is a unit rate? Well, a unit rate then is a ratio that has been converted, simplified, so that now the denominator is 1. And we get that by dividing both the numerator and the denominator by the value in the denominator. So to do that, we would divide this by 4 and divide that by 4. 24 divided by 4, 24 miles divided by 4 leaves us 6 miles. 4 hours divided by 4 leaves us 1 hour. So then our unit rate ends up being 6 miles per hour. So here's a real-world example from the 1990s. If you could buy 4 CDs for $60 or 6 CDs for $75, which would be the better value? So we want to find out the price of each CD. So to do that, our rate is going to end up being per CD. If it's per CD, then we want to put the CDs in the denominators. So this one will be 6 CDs. This one will be 4 CDs. This one is $60. This one is $75. Cannot stress enough, label, label, label. Make sure that you're adding your labels to everything that you're going to put into your ratio. So at the end, you'll be able to describe what the ratio is describing. If you have lost those units along the way, that's not going to work. You cannot just end with a number with these problems. It has to end with some sort of description of what that value actually equals. So if we do the math on these, we would divide both of these by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1 CD. And $60 divided by 4 is $15. So I know in my first example here, in example A, or in price A, I'm buying 1 CD for $15. Now in this one, we're going to have to do the math. We're going to have to divide by 6 and divide by 6. And what are we going to get there? Well, that's why we have calculators. So in this, we're not going to stress necessarily being able to do the calculation here by hand, but we are going to be able to stress, can you do it with the calculator correctly? Because if you don't enter these numbers in correctly, the calculator will not tell you the right answer. So if I take $75, so my first thing is I punch in my top, and I divide it by its denominator, which is the bottom, 75 divided by 6, and I get a price of $12. I get a price of, I shouldn't say price, but I get an answer of this, 12.5. I can make a better 5 than that. 12.5. Is anybody walking around with 12.5 monies in their pocket? No. So it's important to be able to label this. So have some reasonableness here. So when your calculator tells you 12.5, it doesn't know you're trying to figure out which CDs you want to buy in the 1990s. So instead, what you've got to do is you've got to do the thinking then and add the things that you need at the end here. It's $12.50 per CD. Or you could write that $12.50 over 1 CD. These would be the same, per CD and 1 CD. So $12.50 per CD or $15 per CD makes it pretty obvious that what we would like to do is we would like to buy the second choice instead of the first. Here's another example. Can you write 5 pounds for $2.49 as a unit rate? So we're going to try to find out how much each pound costs. So when we want to find out how many pounds there are, we're going to put the pounds on the bottom in our denominator, and then our price on top. And here you can kind of get an idea of what a reasonable answer is, because those are numbers that are fairly close to what we work with. But if I grab my calculator and I do my math, I do numerator 2.49 divided by 5. The calculator tells me that it is, let me write this down in a different color. The calculator tells me the answer is this. Did the calculator use units? No. Did the calculator give me some form of money that we use? No. We have 49 pennies and then we have 8/10 of a penny. I'm not carrying around any tenths of a penny, so this is a situation where you've got to round this so that we have 50. Then you have to apply our labels here. So now it's 50 cents for 1 pound. 50 cents per pound. We divide it here by 5. We divide it here by 5. 5 divided by 5 gives us 1. 249 divided by 5 gives us 50 cents. So let's see if you hit the target. At this point, you should be able to define rate. You should be able to define unit rate. You should have an idea of what the difference is between the two of them. You should be able to find the unit price for a 4-pack, for a 4-pack of juice, that's $2.12. Find the unit rate for 220 miles on 8 gallons of something. If you have any questions, you can rewatch this video or consult your book. Thanks.